Hello everyone, welcome to another short one from Real Canadian Liberal Podcast. Standing in beautiful Alberta right now, where according to Premier Kenney, Alberta has a compliance problem. A compliance problem. Not an anti-scientific medieval lunatic problem. Since March last year, there have been over 80 scientific papers and articles published explaining how non-pharmaceutical interventions, lockdown measures, don't work. Well, there's 4 that do. Washing your hands, not visiting the elderly when you're sick, common sense stuff. There's about 4, right? The rest don't work. In fact, it's worse than that. They kill people. And orders of magnitude more people than they save. See, Alberta doesn't have a compliance problem. Alberta has an anti-scientific, fascist moron problem. I've got a metadata analysis here of those, about 80 of those studies that have come out. I'm just going to read from the abstract of this paper. It came out in April 2021, so it's pretty fresh, hot off the press. It says, it is possible that lockdown will go down as one of the greatest peacetime policy failures in Canada's history. Possible? It's a guarantee. 100% guaranteed. I am a reserve list commissioned Royal Air Force officer. 55,000 of my predecessors died in the skies over Europe, in Bomber Command alone, saving Europe from a compliance problem. You see, 1938 and 39 Germany had a compliance problem. 1930s Italy had a compliance problem. The Soviet Union from 1917 to 1989 had a compliance problem. That's what a compliance problem brings. Genocide. A compliance problem is when people comply with anti-scientific, pseudoscientific, medieval nonsense and throw away fundamental human rights and civil liberties. That's a compliance problem. And the problem is, there are a certain percentage of the population for whom apathy doesn't exist. They're the more scientifically oriented type. Common sense. They're people of action. They're more prone to action than philosophical reflection. And they get pushed to a certain point. Winston Churchill types, perhaps. Well, he was a bit odd because he was both philosophical and a man of action. But the point is this. They get pushed to a certain point, and then they decide that it's time to go hunt down the people responsible and make them pay. Now, traditionally in our society, the way we did that was by taking the people responsible for this sort of nonsense, putting them through a court of law, due process, something that the Alberta government has denied the entire population of Alberta. But they put them through due process and put them in prison or whatever the punishment needs to be. Nuremberg trials, due process. We didn't summarily execute the Nazis even though we knew how bad they'd been. We still give them their day in a court. But when that is taken away from people, then they have one option left. And that's where political violence generally comes from. That's right, political violence. And the problem I have with that is that politicians and bureaucrats and all the corporatists and all the power-hungry lunatics at the top who cause these problems in the first place then expect people like me to rescue them from the problem that they created. They don't give a damn who suffers. They don't give a damn that they cause the problems, and it's ordinary working class people and soldiers who pay for them. That's right. Politicians don't die on battlefields. Soldiers do. And soldiers aren't the ones who cause the problem. Politicians are. It's a bit upside down, isn't it? It's pissing me off. Because they're driving us off that cliff right now. They're putting people who will not stand for the complete subversion of the rule of law and due process in our country in a position where they have no choice but to fight. It's a choice of die on your feet or live on your knees. And there are a certain number of people, certain sector of population, who will not live on their knees. And then Jason Kenney and the chief medical officer and Rachel Notley and all these lunatics, power-hungry, greedy, anti-scientific, fascist lunatics, will turn to people like me and say, hey, come back, come save us from the problem we caused. Well, here's a message for you. No. You make this bed, you sleep in it. My advice to all the police and armed forces people out there, people like me, people who hold the Queen's Commission, let them sink. Protect the Constitution, protect the Charter of Rights and Freedoms, and let the idiots sink. Protect the people of this country from this anti-scientific lunacy. If they can't be bothered to read 80 scientific papers published in the last year, or the 2019 pandemic guidelines, or all the science that went into it, if they can't be bothered to pay attention to any of that and to decide instead they're going to follow the advice of the National Socialist, yes, that's right, Nazi Chinese, let them fall. Somebody gets pissed off and decides that they're going to go and shoot them or blow them up. Just mutter good riddance and carry on. Because the people responsible for this nonsense need to go. Alberta doesn't have a compliance problem. Alberta has an anti-scientific lunatic problem. And it needs to end. And don't come looking to me for help getting out of it. Or people like me. Okay. Hope that's clear enough for everybody.